This is a bit of a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. So this all started about 2 months ago. My best friend, I'll call him E, had been dating this girl for a year and a half at that point, and him, his girlfriend, my girlfriend, and a few others had a friend group where we'd all hang out every Friday night for drinks. Everything was fun and everyone got along, but a few months ago I started noticing that his girlfriend, I'll call her R, starting hanging out a lot with a friend from the group, I'll call him T. Now nothing seemed too out of the ordinary, but they seemed to be spending a lot of time together, especially one-on-one. And it seemed that they hung out together even more than E and R would hang out. So I talked to E about my concerns with R's loyalty, but he shrugged it off and said he completely trusts her. About a month passes, and a few people outside of the friend group have also mentioned to me about how R and T seem to be spending a lot of time together, so I talked to E again, but he again shrugged it off and said everything was fine between him and R. After bugging him for a while, he brings it up with T, and T assures him that they are nothing but friends, and he would never do something with R. I'm still not, but I keep my suspicions to myself as he seems unbothered and trusts both R and T. Another thing to note is that R and T have started smoking a lot of weed together, and it's almost daily where they would get high most mornings and nights. I was not keen on this, and although I'm not against smoking, I'll do it once in a while. I find people who are constantly high boring to be around, so I grow distant from R and T. We're still hanging out most Friday nights, however. I was quite busy at the time, and after the nights were canceled. A few weeks ago, I get a phone call from E, and he tells me that R broke up with him. I fear that my suspicions were confirmed, but I don't mention it immediately, and I spend the day with E because he was heartbroken. A few days later, I bring up the possibility of R cheating on him, but he immediately dismisses the idea, again saying she would never do that. I don't talk to R or T for the next week, as at this point, I'm not particularly close to either. He doesn't contact them either, until last Thursday where he calls me at R's house. E, R, and T were all there having drinks, and he wanted me to stop being mad at R and become friends again. I wasn't openly mad at R, so I told him to tell her to text me about it. She messages me basically blaming me for being mad at her and making me mad at her. I'm pretty annoyed by this because all I did was tell E to not message her for a while, as he was pretty emotional about the breakup and I wanted things to cool down so the friend group wouldn't disband. I messaged her back, confronting her about her relationship with T. She called me and she told me the stuff with her and T was purely non-romantic, and she seemed genuine, so I believed her. We made up, so the next night we all hang out at my house. I advised everyone not to bring drinks as I didn't want everyone there with heightened emotions and for things to get out of hand. The next day the friend group shows up at my house, but R and T brought a bottle of vodka. I was slightly annoyed because they ignored me, but I let it go. Everyone was having a decent night up until he made a joke that R found offensive. E, R, and T were all pretty drunk at this point, so R starts going off at E and gets mad at him for messaging other girls the previous few days. She goes outside and has a moment to herself, and then comes back in and everyone is chill. As everyone is leaving, T pulls my girlfriend aside to have a word, and my girlfriend comes back looking upset. After the others had all left, I asked her what had happened, and she told me that R had been cheating on E with T. I was immediately really angry, so I talked to my girlfriend about it, and she said that she told T that he had to tell E in the next week or she would. I calmed down a bit and don't tell E about it. Yesterday, he came over to my house and told me that R had told him that she and T were now in a relationship, but they weren't doing anything while E and R were together. I got really mad and told him the truth. He is equally mad, so we find T and confront him. While talking to him, T is smiling almost like it's a joke, so he starts getting aggressive and grabs T's collar. T responds by giving E a right hook to the face, and I had been a few meters away, so I rush over and T runs away. He had fallen over but isn't knocked out, so I take him back to mine. We talk it over, and I said I was going to get some friends and jump T. Later that day, I am talking to some mutual friends, and they said that T had been bragging to them that he and R had been having sex while R and E were together. I'm really mad at the moment, but I don't want to do anything I regret later, and I also feel that telling you the truth might have just inflamed the whole situation. I've talking to my girlfriend about it as well and says I did the right thing. What should my actions be moving forward from this? Me, E and T are all 18. My girlfriend and R are 18.